Malita mwishiwe pia kuya sonta Voti kumekita shida mata Fetule kwa mailo ni peta Zambia Ni one Zambia, one nation So mwina Zambia ose kutashida gavani London ukuli tribalism Fetule kwa mailo ni peta Zambia Mwishiwe ife kumota Mwila nulesa mameso Tusalo mtu wa pata future Fetule faya ni peta Zambia Mwishiwe ife kumota Mwila nulesa so this I don't want to get the future to pull it fair ni beta Zambia kale iwe talo chama iso sele so kupota kwena chewe talo cheso chisele noti makono kutukana masele twala maka kubalo tema fauzi ya sele unuma kamwelo le shapa motundu kusalo wingolo kakola kichumbo unuma kamwelo le shapa motundu kusalo wingolo kakola kichumbo concept of video kupota together as the one wapatu one Zambia wati mezina ngumwali yokutarishane ufuyo kubola mwingata kujani Nangu tukusane mitundu no tukusala pepa tumwa ufwe chitundu kusalo kuntu kwete visheni umutu inga wani Zambia kwa ikatana kutito chinje fito kwa wata fewanu Zambia
Hello, good evening. Thank you for joining me, for joining us here at TV Bakwetu. My name is Elias Munshya, and I am joined, as usual, by my co-host, Mr. Chipakupaku, whom we also call General. I will be introducing him shortly and bringing him onto the program. We are just playing NAC Unit's new song. This is the one that we are playing here. And so it's a very good song about unity and everything else. General, this is NAC Unit's new song. Can you hear it?
Yes, I can. And good evening to Impala. Good evening, Bobby, and good evening, viewers everywhere. And I hope you've had a lovely day, Munshya. How is Canada today?
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, General. Today we have several matters to deal with, but before we go to the substantive issues, I think let's look at COVID and the COVID numbers. I understand today we got a lot of COVID infections, a lot of deaths in Zambia, and so this is becoming unmanageable, General.
It's very, very, very scary. It's very, very scary, Munshya, and all of us who have got relatives in Zambia, it's very, very scary. The numbers are getting higher and higher, and they are also getting shortages, serious shortages of oxygen, and the number of deaths today has just shot up.
Right.
And this is very, very scary. And by this afternoon, State House had issued, I think the Secretary of this Cabinet, they are trying to reduce the usage of, the opening hours for the bars, and they are also trying to cut down on crowding places, but they have not tackled the markets, they have not tackled the buses, and they have not tackled the issue of the churches. So there's a statement which has just been issued by the Secretary of the Cabinet, Dr. Miti, late this afternoon, to try and restrict crowding.
Now, it appears like they've retracted that statement, actually, General, and they're saying that it was not authorized by Dr. Miti. So what is going on in State House?
There must be confusion in State House, because if you look at what is happening, the presidents are supposed to be in Western Province, and we hear now again that the program has been cancelled. What we hear is that there is a fight in the presidential team.
Right.
There's a group of people who want the president to rest, like what we recommended. That after his dizziness at the parade, he should be given time to rest. But there's some people who are saying, no, Mr. President, let's go, because they want allowances. When they go to Western Province, they get allowances. So they can't leave this man to rest because they want allowances. The policemen want allowances. People from PF want allowances. So they want this man to go. So they have to make a decision whether they care about his health or they care about allowances.
Right. And so as far as the COVID statement, though, when I read the COVID statement, it looked very legitimate. I do think that that is a statement that either somebody on behalf of Dr. Simon Miti had drafted for him, leaked it to Facebook, and then suddenly they are now backtracking, because it cannot just be something that somebody just fakes and creates. What do you think?
I think there's some confusion, definitely. And to me, what you mentioned yesterday, the idea of one person playing two roles.
Right.
That's the same man as secretary to the cabinet, the same man who's the private secretary to the president. Right. I think it's not making any sense. And remember also that we don't have cabinet now. So, and then Minister of Health also everybody's issuing statements. And so I think there's confusion in the State House. The other news we are getting is that our friend, the press secretary to the president, is also in the hospital, Chimpambe.
Okay. All right. That perhaps explains why the statements are coming from the secretary to cabinet. But this is a little bit confusing, and I think our listeners need to know that when we are pointing out these things, it is not because we don't like Mr. Lungu, but this is not the way to govern a country. This is Chipante where even when you are sick or maybe you are recovering from a small fainting spell, you can't. Systems are not collaborating at all. There is confusion there.
Exactly, Musha. It looks like there is no coordination between the ministries. I know there are no ministers now. So the process is now the permanent secretaries that are supposed to be taking charge of the ministry.
Right.
And obviously the president's office is still there. The vice president is still there. It looks like there's no coordination going on. Anybody can issue statements now. And to be very, very strange that when I saw the statements coming from the Minister of Health, something is telling me that some people at the Ministry of Health are also looking for allowances. I think they're looking for, honestly, they're looking for donors to come and give them big money to fight COVID and then have allowances for themselves. I could be wrong.
Right.
But that's how I feel. It looks like they're giving out these numbers so that they can convince donors, so that more money can come to the Ministry of Health, and then they can have allowances for themselves.
Now, the COVID issue is a very big issue. I don't think it's a small thing, but the way it is being handled, there is, first of all, confusion in messaging. The other thing is, we are not seeing the presidency. Now, it's not just about President Lungu. It's also about the vice president. For goodness sake, what is the role of the vice president? What is she doing? Where is she?
The vice president is basically now the campaign assistant for the running mate. That's what she's doing.
So now they are busy campaigning, but they're actually not governing, right? Mrs. Winner, okay, we are appealing to you, dear Madam Vice President. If the president is not feeling well, if he cannot be there to consciously govern properly, you are the vice president. We have a COVID crisis. Please come back to Lusaka and take charge of what you need to take charge. We are not saying that take over government. You can't. What we are saying is that go to the Ministry of Health and begin receiving reports and do something about the COVID crisis. Where are you? I'm getting animated like General. Now, General, I'm the one who is becoming like you. I shouldn't be doing this.
I think you're right, Munshya. The thing is that the vice president's office seems to be now a campaign tool for the PF. And they're taking advantage of the privileges they have to fly all over, to fly Madam Professor Lu around, and they are taking the whole of the DMMU with them.
Right.
Everywhere she goes, she takes the DMMU to dish out food and dish out money. And everywhere they're going, they're making sure that they've got social cash transfer to dish out. And yesterday I was watching Madam Nkanduluo, professor, in Chipata. She addresses the students and then she says, no, we're actually shocked that the students are here. This is at night now, and we are happy that you are here to support us. But after addressing you, please remain seated. Somebody's coming to see you. You know what came into my mind? Brown envelopes being dished to students.
Right.
So that is what the Vice President's office is doing now, is just dishing out brown envelopes, dishing out meal, dishing out more campaign materials through DMMU.
And she can't sit down to help coordinate efforts at dealing with the disaster that we have in our hands, the COVID disaster. This is unacceptable.
The COVID disaster is an excuse to stop campaigning, to stop the opposition from campaigning. It's now going to be used, it's being used as an excuse. I know it's real, but it's a blessing in disguise for PF to actually say, okay, now, this is a good excuse to stop you from campaigning, but the president will continue campaigning, Nkanduluo will continue campaigning, she is still flying around, and of course, Luo will continue flying around.
All right, we'll come to that, but I just want to see. Now, we have the COVID crisis. We expect the president and the vice president to prioritize. And by prioritizing, we are not saying that they are going to, what we are saying is that they need to show leadership. South Africans have just been addressed by their head of state. He has outlined the challenge that COVID crisis is presenting, what they're going to do about it, efforts they're trying to make at securing vaccines. Yeah. And he spoke in a very calm manner. You can disagree with him. I think he presides over a government that is quite corrupt, according to South Africans' perceptions. But the man was speaking to his country about a crisis.
Yeah,
in Zambia, we have the vice president and the president. And between the two of them, they cannot speak to the country when the country is in crisis. What is going on here?
Unfortunately, I think it's Mr. Lungu's style of leadership. Since he took over, he's never addressed the nation. And if he can't address the nation when we have a crisis, I don't know when he's ever going to do that. Because I think we have a crisis.
Right.
And, government departments are being infected. They are finding out that people are being, they are COVID positive in government offices. And the president is not even thinking about addressing the nation and say, look, this is what we're going to do. I know we don't have vaccines. We can only get more vaccines from the donations from the Americans and the British. Right. But we must be planning of other measures to try and stop this infections going on.
Right.
And we need the president to talk to the nation.
Right.
He should not just be worrying about the results of the 12th. He should be worrying about people who die between now and the 12th.
Right. Okay. So, to be clear, posting on Facebook is not leadership, for goodness sake. You've been laughing at us that we are Facebook analysts, for me, Facebook lawyer, Facebook everything. I've received enough of those insults. Here, President Lungu should look at leadership beyond his Facebook page, please. South Africa is now beginning to manufacture vaccines. We are Zambia. We are a country that is sister to South Africa. Why can't we talk to them about vaccines?
Munshya, we helped liberate South Africa. The ANC people lived in Zambia. We have all the key people in the South African government who lived in Zambia. They know that they've got that special relationship with Zambia. The Zambian government should have been speaking to South Africa by now to say, what can we do? What can you help us with? The South African economy is 5, 6, 7 times bigger than ours. What can we do to collaborate and get some of the vaccines from you so that we can try and cut down on the infections in Zambia.
Right.
What else can we do to work with South Africa, Botswana, Zimbabwe, in that region to try and contain the spread of this Indian variant? This is what we're supposed to do. But for us to do that, we need leadership.
Right.
Unfortunately, our president is not there. I wish he could show the leadership he was trying to show with the defense on the Defense Force Day. He was trying to show leadership that day, but unfortunately he collapsed, which was sad. But this is the leadership which he wants, which we need, the country is looking for.
Right.
We want to see a president who's going to talk and say, these are the plans we have to save lives. Right. Are you going to suggest that we close down the country? Are you going to reduce the number of people on the buses? Are you going to reduce on the markets? Are you going to reduce the number of people in the supermarkets? Are we going to enforce that everybody wears a mask? These are some of the directions we need to see.
Right. And so tomorrow, it will be unacceptable if it is the permanent secretaries addressing the nation regarding COVID. Let's just be very clear here. Zambia still has a president and a vice president, two important political institutions and representative of our people. We cannot leave this just up to the technocrats. It is not enough. We want to see the president. We want to see the vice president. For goodness sake, whatever announcements are being made tomorrow, we want to see the head of our state addressing our country so that we can cut down on these infections. It is not enough to write on Facebook or to say that the Zambians are going to just work out their guidelines. It is not enough to just say we've got guidelines in place and people should follow the guidelines. That is not enough. We need some common sense solutions. The paper that was published today purportedly from Dr. Simon Miti, it addressed some of those concerns. It was beautifully written. And that is the speech that the vice president or the president perhaps needs to read to our country tomorrow and say, you are closing universities for at least a month, for goodness sake. You are closing schools for at least a few weeks, maybe 2 weeks. You are asking employers to work from home. And this is not just suggestions from technocrats. We want politicians, we want the president and the vice president showing leadership that they are invested in what the technocrats are announcing. That is what we want to see. Not a permanent secretary. The people of Zambia did not vote for a permanent secretary. Zambia is not a technocracy. Zambia is a democracy, meaning it is the people's representative. Even if we have dissolved the parliament, but we do have a president, we do have the vice president who are carrying out executive functions of the country. Now, what is this executive functions about? If you cannot sit down, we have a crisis. It is not enough. Like if you have Facebook, ngale, landeni na abantu. Talk about tangible steps that can be taken.
Yeah.
Close the bars, for goodness sake. Limit the churches, limit funerals, limit all these things. See ngale how things are going to be. Our healthcare workers, Mulanda, you care for healthcare workers and you've built infrastructure all over. Who is going to be in those hospitals if all the doctors die out of COVID? I'm nurses. And then here we are. The president is just wanting to fly around. No gufenta. The vice president is also unseen. Nowhere is she seen except Ukula Shindika Madam Luo. This is not the way to govern. When we are saying these things, it's not because we have a dislike for this president. It is because this president, there is something fundamentally wrong. General.
I think he has got this attitude, which I might call laissez-faire attitude. He doesn't care. Things will happen. And And I know he's a lame duck president, as they would say. He's only got 50-something days, but he's still the president of the Republic of Zambia.
Yes, yeah.
And he has to show leadership.
Right.
Unfortunately, Mr. Lungu, I find it difficult to address him as Dr. Lungu. I don't know what has happened to my system. Thank you so much. This technology, sorry viewers, this technology just went off.
Who are you blaming today? Yesterday you were blaming the Chinese. I don't want you to be blaming the Chinese today.
No, today it's my phone which just went off. I normally use my iPad. Today I'm using my special phone because so it just went off on its own. I'm sorry, viewers, for that. So our president, it looks like his mind is focused on winning the elections. He's focused on the third term. That's all.
Okay.
He's not focused on the lives of the Zambian people. He's not focused on the economy. He doesn't care about anything else. What he's focused on is his third term, winning the elections on the 12th by any means, whether it means using whether it means beating people up, whether it means closing down everything. He would do it as long as he wins. He doesn't care about anything else.
That's the thing. Because attitude ya kwebati tafindoleshe wemome ni weka teka kaidi ebuka kaishu president nishi kula se ya fiolese ya waseyo ku wani nendeke yakutwala kulu wapula wahwera wani na naimbi ndeke yakutwala ku Eastern Province wahwera wemwaume nshawekeshepo ifinachiranda pa face pantu mwalanda tiyo ndi wa msalula nshawekeshepo kulanda ichibemba icho nde lombako chakwe bati kaingeni mwe bakateka ni mwelesa tupera efe muilumba tilesali tupera kanshi mwebo kanshi talk to your people ama doctors valelwala valetina ama doctors ku UTH tawalefuku ya kunchito ama nurses chimochine clinic officers, aren't you going to care for them? There is something that can be done. If you are going to wear masks, general, at wear masks, it's okay. You can say wear masks and everything, at social distancing and everything. There's some common sense.
We need more than just wearing masks.
Right.
We need some drastic measures, Mr. President, drastic measures to avoid us getting a serious disaster. And if if the hospitals are full, and if we don't have oxygen now, and we don't have enough PPE, protective equipment, it's going to be a disaster for our country.
Right.
It's going to be a disaster. We are heading for a disaster. And
I think all the political leaders, from Dr. Nevas Mumba to Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, all the senior, the top opposition leaders, I think they are agreeable to having common sense solutions to avoid a disaster. Common sense solutions. That is all we are asking for. We are not saying invoke emergency powers or declare a state of emergency. Bantu balungu wafia. Konsaka no ni I'm the president, I have emergency powers. This is a simple crisis. Just remain focused. Shipa. Ewa ume okushipa. Shipa. Elonga wa shipa. Wherever I'm a doctors, wherever I'm a permanent secretaries, I'm going to implement a few restrictions. Epela, echo tule lomba kofuego. Nebo na Chipakupaku.
We want to save our people, Munshya. We want to save our people. There's no point of having a country which you want to have people. We need to save our people. We are going to have, if we start getting the frontline health workers themselves getting sick, we're heading for trouble. Who's going to treat the citizens? If we're going to have civil servants getting sick, we're heading for trouble.
Right.
And my biggest worry is that this might even be spreading to the defense forces. The police will be sick,
no.
And then we'll be heading for trouble. If the police are sick, the doctors are sick, the civil servants are sick, the army is sick, we are heading for trouble, Because remember, the army, they mix with people. Remember that the police mix with people every day. So I think it's time that Mr. President, take your mind off the winning third term side, focus on the lives and the future of our country. That should be the issue which is preoccupying him every day, not being preoccupied by saying, I am the God-chosen one. Nobody chose you. It's the Zambians who chose you. God didn't appoint you.
No, sonta. You know, we are having this crisis at its UPND. It's Hichilema. It's, in other words, tapali ukushipa kulioko kwa tu muntu umwa ume emini ne wino. Number one, it's not just about the president. Now, vice president wene balese ya ngefise ya kateka. Mushekwena nishtisha moja chisomo. You know what Chisomo is, General?
I know Chisomo Munshya.
Chisomo bantu kwena ngadakutela muli babiri, president na vice president. Kuti vice president aleku afuirisha yako kateka. Like we were talking to Madam Nalumango yesterday. She said, HH mwana wandi. Na alikuwa tama solutions, but na yena alikuwa tama solutions. Kamu afuirisha kuteke chalo. Nomba, if ile chitaba wina, tabari afuirisha yo. You are the vice president, so kuya mwewa kateka atuwewo. Na mwana kwa na kalimodimbi dizziness ya chilamo. Fila chitika, tuli bantu, tulaba dizzy. Ero nomba we wina wa mwebo kobati nomba mwaicha wandi. Nangu mwana wandi. Mwenefe tuwala chita. Ife tuwala teke chalo, nifi. In these few months, ngale abama reports bonsaba, yonse portfolio ya COVID, I'm going to take charge of it. That is what we are looking to see. No kulanda na bantu ine wonkala chita address. Kainge under our constitution, the vice president can't be fired. I'll be the one who will be addressing the nation. Pantu moto mwakulanda pantu business na ichiramo. Mwebo tulibantu bonse tulibantu nokulwala tulalwala na business tulofua. So tatufuiro okulaba ashamed as if this is something strange. Tefe tuwale kana for months ukukana satana alwala mwebo muntu na alwala. Alikunganda na alwala. Abantu balekana mwe.
It's sad. It's really sad.
Inside parliament, bonse na menso yesu tuwaimwena fuenka. A people that are around him nokuseka baleseka kwati kuwamya, kwati kutumfyo muntu.
Yeah.
We see repeat of such. If you are palako, it's not like that. But if you are palako, and we are supposed to just remain quiet at yom quiet to live in Africa, tatula ndapo. Number COVID yala chita devastate chalo. Ero chibesha. At it's 20 people dying a day. What do you know what that means? 20 people times 7, it's 140 people.
It's sad. The situation will get worse.
Right.
It will get worse. My biggest worry is that we have a problem of nutrition. A lot of our people are undernourished, so it means their immune systems are completely down.
Right.
So any slight exposure to COVID would cause disaster.
Right.
We have a lot of people with a lot of underlying issues. Diabetes is one of them. A lot of HIV, people have got their immunity down. So I think we better be extra careful.
Right.
Because this thing can be out of control. We saw what happened in India 3 weeks ago. I think we don't want Zambia to go through that. First of all, India has got better facilities than we do. So if India can go through that, imagine what we would go through, because we don't have the same facilities like India.
Right.
So I think people have to have, the president has to use common sense now and say, forget about winning the elections, Mr. President, because that's where your mind is. We know that. Right. Save your people now by telling them what needs to be said. Be honest with people and say, look, if you've got a bus which is taking 20 people, reduce that number to 15 or to 10. They might lose some bit of money, but they'll save lives. Somebody has just come from Zambia. My friend came from Zambia, is being quarantined in Glasgow now. He says the buses were full, the windows were not open, people were not wearing masks. What's going on?
Okay. Now, that's one aspect, General. We agreed on this one. But the other side of the coin is weaponization of COVID to target the opposition. So, in other words, making COVID not as a national crisis, but weaponizing it so that you limit the opposition. And so what we are saying is introduce measures, common sense measures. In fact, no kumwita hichilema kuti muamwita na bamaye bana rumango mwabeta mwaikana panshi ekuteke echalo mwebere bane. We have this COVID, we have ECZ, we have the police, we have several other institutions. What are the common sense measures we can introduce? Amaruza yakwe, but they apply equally to everyone so that we contain this. What do you think about the weaponization of COVID against the opposition?
It's a very dangerous thing to do. It's a very, very dangerous thing to do. And it's very, very unfortunate that COVID, which is a serious issue, is being used to actually deny the opposition their freedoms. Meanwhile, PF is conducting their campaigns. They're having their campaigns. Professor Luo is meeting people everywhere. And they're having all these meetings everywhere. But the opposition, I think what scared them was what they saw in Kanyama. Was it yesterday?
And what was in Kanyama? I didn't follow the news very well. What was there?
The Kanyama one was when HH went to Kanyama yesterday. And just before he could finish the tour, they unleashed Eno and his gang. They transported them and they beat people in the town center, robbed the women with their handbags, and took some phones from people. The police were just watching. Nobody was arrested. So they are using COVID now. They don't want to see what they saw in Ikanyama. They don't want to see what they saw in Mandevu. But they want to be having their own meetings without the opposition having anything. So basically, the issue of COVID is now being used as a weapon against the opposition.
And yet, we are all agreed that there's got to be measures to stop the spread of COVID. But what is needed is a steady leader who can bring all parties together. That's what we are asking. You know, we've endorsed Mr. Haka in the Hichilema, but personally, I'm not invested, right? General is invested. But I'm not invested in any candidacy. What I want to see are common sense solutions to help our people. That is what I am about. And so if President Lungu can and is willing to meet with key political players and come up with common sense solutions, we are going to support that. I believe Mr. Hakainde Hichilema himself is going to support such common sense solutions. But is there an doubt somewhere? Is there a leader in State House who is willing to do that, General?
No, we don't. We don't have that leader at all. I mean, the truth is President Lungu has failed to demonstrate leadership. Whether it's with the COVID, whether it's with the economy, whether it's with national unity, whether it's violence, he has failed to demonstrate leadership. Okay, I was shocked yesterday when I heard Nkandulu was saying, Professor Nkandulu, she wants to be addressed by Professor, by the way. She says, don't forget my title. I'm still Professor. So Professor
You know why she says that? Because abaume ba mulomo, abaume tabafuayo kubeta as professor. Male professors, we just say professor. But for women no, General, we must address her according to her rank. Professor Nkandulu, Professor Dr. Nkandulu. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Professor Kanduluo says the prices are going up because there's a cartel which is fixing these prices. So you can tell to say, on the economy, there is no leadership. On COVID, there is no leadership. On trying to bring the country together, national unity, there's no leadership. On violence, there is no leadership.
No, but why are they there? Why are they seeking to provide leadership? This is the question that we need to ask ourselves. Some of you ask us to say, why are we not neutral? You know, here we are not, I'm not neutral. General is not neutral because we've endorsed the candidacy of Mr. Hakainde Hichilema because he has said what he wants to do for our country and it makes sense. No, but Ababa Dipo, they can't govern. No vision, no plan, everything chipante pante. A case in point, if you're feeling Luo Barelanda, Luo, Professor Luo, Okulanda, it is a cartel that is behind the economic collapse. General, on second thought, I agree. There is a cartel. But do you know where that cartel is? I'll tell you.
Where is that cartel?
It's at State House.
I think so. That cartel is set out. The problem I have with Mr. Lungu and these people is he thinks that is God anointed. So whatever he does, people should not worry about it because it's God who appointed him. Mr. President, right. No, God didn't anoint you. It's Zambian people who gave you the authority.
All right. So weaponization of COVID. So we've seen the Vice President garavanting all over. We've seen her give lifts. Atinika lift and we've seen Dr. Chimbakambwidi freely holding rallies. Now, rallies have been banned, right? And this is the question. If the Patriotic Front is serious about COVID or about the guidelines that they say they are going to follow, why is Dr. Chimbakambwidi having rallies and spreading COVID all over?
All these PF officials are having rallies.
Right.
And what we have decided to do is that we are going to film those rallies and we'll be posting them on the ECZ page so that the ECZ can see what is happening.
All right. Okay.
Because it's total hypocrisy that you can say no rallies, but Chimbakambwidi is holding rallies, and now you are saying there will be no roadshows as well.
And yet the president is on the roadshow to Mongu now. Yes. I looked at that schedule. Is that schedule genuine? Is that a genuine schedule?
Well, that we received that schedule yesterday, and you know what it simply meant that he was going to go to Western Province to visit markets, all the markets in Western Province, hop from one town to another, visiting markets, and launch probably another toilet somewhere, and come back and go to the next town and visit a market. That was the tour. That was the tour of the president, visiting nothing but markets.
Was that genuine? Was that a genuine document?
Well, it was a genuine document because it came from State House.
It looked very tight. He would be Mongu, and then go to Cheke, go to Wampa, come back to Mongu, and then the following day he would go to Sikongo, and then go to Liua, and go to Mwandi and Nalikwanda, and then come back to Mongu.
Yeah.
It means, General, that he's extremely fit.
No, he's not fit. That's why he was dizzy he was dizzy on that day. He was.
We say that because of lack of
I used to stand for hours. I never collapsed. And if you are dizzy as commander in chief, that's a disgrace. That's being that's a disgrace. And so he cannot pretend that he's fit. He's not fit.
Right.
We recommended that day that he should go and rest. And I think this is the fight which is at State House. Somebody wants the president to rest, which should be the situation. He should be resting and addressing the issue of COVID. But the other group is saying, no, Mr. President, you can't do this. This is the time to make money, allowances.
I told you we know.
You're okay. You're fine. Let's go.
Wechaume, iwe wechaume kabie, umuntu nana.
Because when they go for these trips, Munshya, their allowances there, they're entitled to allowances, there's money for accommodation, there's time to eat food, and you know, there's time to drive around. And you know, I wonder people like Kawe, that is PS DMMU, whether he sleeps at his house at all, because it's everywhere every day. It's a different province every day. I don't know whether he spends nights at his house.
General, where people sleep is none of our business.
Well, that PS must be very, very busy. I think it's the busiest PS I've ever come across, because he's everywhere. He's in Akonde today, he's in Kawe tomorrow, he's in Mwandi tomorrow, especially in Mwandi, because he's very interested in Mwandi. You know, so he'll be in Mwandi many times, making sure that there's meaning there.
General, I don't want to hear that. General, from today, I'm banning the word Mwandi from this program.
Okay. I will not mention Mwandi again, because I know there's a special interest in Mwandi. This is the last time I'm going to talk about Mwandi.
Okay. Now, General, I've just banned Mwandi here, but it's not a big deal. There is violence in Lusaka.
Yeah.
Now, I want to call it for what it is. There are no two sides to the violence going on, to the electoral violence going on in Zambia today. There is only one side.
There's only one side. There's only one side which is violent, and that side is very, very well done.
Right.
Except that the police is afraid to name and shame the violent, to arrest the people who are violent. They're all known.
Right.
The people who are violent are PF.
Right.
The PF has a militia of people who are in uniform, who have got pangas, who have got everything to terrorize citizens. What we saw yesterday, if the president was serious, he would have issued a statement last night to say, Innocent, what I saw you doing yesterday in the afternoon in that big yellow truck, stop it.
Right.
Because somebody transported them to go and harass citizens. They were aiming at HH's team, and they ended up harassing innocent women, innocent, marketeers, innocent vendors. People lost their phones, people lost their handbags, people were injured just because innocent Kalimashi wanted to show that they are very, very powerful and nobody can touch them. And the president kept quiet. The Secretary General of the PF kept quiet. The police kept quiet. ECZ kept quiet.
Right. So this idea that there are somehow two sides to the violence, to the electoral violence, is nonsense. This violence is being perpetuated by the Patriotic Front and its militia, PF militia. We know who are commanders of this militia. We see them every day. They talk to, in fact, they are extremely charming fellows, psychopaths, who are very charming. We see them every day. So for you to tell me, for anyone to tell me that there are two sides to this, I'm going to call it for what it is. It is nonsense. If the president wants to take charge of the violence, he can do it by just one action: disband the Patriotic Front militia. That's it.
Yeah.
You say, the General, that there is Kamgodi. Now, I don't know where Kamgodi is, but I understand. I trust you. You see, this is where I trust you, General. Because when you tell me there is Kamgodi, I know that you are saying the truth.
Kamgodi is there. And the police know what we're talking about. When you say Kamgodi, the police know exactly what we're talking about.
But the police
is where people who refuse to pay money from these bus stations and markets are taken and tortured. Tortured by the same PF militia, and the police have failed to take action.
Right. Now, General, the reason why I say that the police have the capability to deal with this militia. The police can deal with this militia. The problem is the Patriotic Front government. It can't let the police deal with these thugs. Here is an example. There is one thug. This thug is facing criminal charges for criminal trespassing at the Patriotic Front Secretariat. General, I know that some of these things to our viewers can sound a little bit like Greek. What is criminal trespassing? Criminal trespassing is when you trespass on a property that you have no business trespassing, and then you trespass to try and go and cause mayhem or confusion. That is the charge that they have given this thug. He's right now charged with criminal trespassing on the Patriotic Front property. The Patriotic Front announced to the people of Zambia that this gentleman is not a member of the Patriotic Front. Fast forward 3 weeks later, this particular gentleman is wearing military gear. I know it's probably fake military gear because soldiers will not let him wear a true combat. But he's wearing fake military gear, as fake as he is. He's calling himself a fake commander, and he's taking pictures with no less than the Patriotic Front candidate for Matero constituency, a former mayor of Lusaka.
Yep.
And today you tell me that all this violence is because of two sides that are causing violence. The Patriotic Front must own up to its militia and disband its militia. That's it.
Munshya, last night in Chipata, the home of the provincial chairman of Eastern Province, UPND chairman, Johabi Mtonga, my good friend, was petrol-bombed. The house of the UPND trustee, Chuzu, was stoned, glasses broken, and the wall fence bent last night. And nobody has been arrested. And instead, I will not be surprised if they arrest Johabi to say he's the complainant, so he should be arrested. I would be surprised.
This is terrible.
I wouldn't be surprised if Johabi is arrested today or tomorrow because he went to complain to the police that his home has been, his children have been harassed, Chuzu's home stoned, and fence bent down.
Right.
And if they cannot arrest the people who are bringing that violence, I wouldn't be surprised to hear that the complainant is arrested. So the issue of who is delivering this violence is known. It's deliberate. It's a deliberate tactic.
Right.
It's a deliberate strategy by PF to use intimidation, to use violence to intimidate the voters and make sure that they intimidate them. The whole aim is that they should not go into vote, reduce their voting power. The other thing is that use the cadres to buy the voters' cards from people. That is the instruction which they have. Buy the voters' cards, buy the NRCs, exchange it up with money, 1,500, and tell them that you're not going to vote. Thank you so much. The question is, where are these voters' cards going?
Right. So we need to be quite clear, General, about the source of this violence, the institutions that are causing violence, and why the police cannot act. It is because imwe bakapokola General baikata omuntu baikata ichimuntu chithag chikabale bachikata bakapokola bachikata bachitwala ku court. 3 weeks later chachine chikabale chayamukukopwa with a former mayor of Lusaka. Now mfini wobokapokola kwena, can you be motivated to arrest thugs? No.
Munshya, there is a disgrace, very disgraceful behavior in the PF, which has been going on for a long time. I'll give you another example. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, there was a by-election in Vubwi. They sent in somebody called JJ there, beat up a journalist, wanted to burn this journalist. At last, they decided they were not going to burn him. They were just going to wee-wee in his mouth. This was done during the day. After that, the chairman of UPND went to complain to say they've beaten the UPND officials, they've beaten journalists. He went to Mr. Paul Tolly to report to the police. He was arrested instead. JJ was never arrested. JJ ran away. The same guy who went and attacked the police got away with it. The same guy organized that. Remember when there was that Bill 10 discussion in Lusaka by news diggers? He was one of those organizing to go and harass people. These are the same people doing the same things every day. Nobody's arresting them.
Right.
Let's go back to Sesheke. A well-known cadres from the city market went and started harassing people, trying to shoot people. Chapa Wamungumba said, no, I'm going to put my foot down. He sorted out these people. What happened? Chapa Wamungumba, instead of him being promoted, he was fired in public interest. So how can then Zambians doubt where the violence is coming from?
Right. General, there is only one thing here, and where it is coming from. And we definitely know where this violence is coming from.
Yeah.
We definitely know where.
Before we conclude, Munshya,
right.
ECZ comes in today and says, despite what they saw yesterday from Eno's group, they suspend UPND and PF for 14 days. No campaigns in Lusaka, the whole of Lusaka, no campaigns in Mpulungu, no campaigns in Nakonde, no campaigns in Namwala. I don't even know what happened in Namwala. So the aggressors and the people who are being attacked are being told, no, you cannot campaign, you cannot even go to radio stations. Meanwhile, PF is planning to send the president and some of their people out to go and campaign. Meanwhile, UPND is suspended for 14 days. No campaigns in Lusaka, no road shows in Lusaka. Very soon, they want to plan to stop door-to-door campaigns. And very soon, Munshya, we hear, they want to cut down internet. So, can we call that a free and fair campaign? No. And the British High Commissioner made a mistake. The American High Commissioner, the ambassador made a mistake to say, we want a free and fair election. They went to attack the British High Commissioner and they want him to apologize. But they're forgetting that it's the same donors who are funding ECZ.
Right.
My tax, they tax me every year at about 30%, 37% of my tax goes to support ECZ. The British High Commissioner says, no, we want a free and fair election. Somebody's attacking the British High Commissioner. The same people who are giving them money to run ECZ.
Right.
So that's how that's the amount of hypocrisy which we have in Zambia.
General, the reason why we talk the way we talk is because what we discuss here doesn't just end at our discussion. We know that we are speaking to the government. We are speaking to the president, to the vice president, and to everybody who cares to listen. And we expect them to act in a way that is fair to our country. We care deeply about Zambia, and that is why we are speaking the way we are speaking, and we are not going to ignore it. At we General,
No. We won't stop.
Go ahead and destroy it. Pantushan.
No, we won't stop.
What kind of, why should we relax?
We won't stop talking because we love our country. We won't stop talking because we love our country. And the message is very, very clear. ECZ, you are supposed to be a referee. You are not becoming a referee. You are becoming another player. You are the one who's now becoming number 5 defender of violence by ECZ.
Right.
The police, you are not becoming a police and neutral. You are now defending the violent people.
Let's continue applying pressure on the politicians, because when we apply pressure on the president and the vice president, then they are going to apply pressure on the police. So let's continue sensitizing our people about what is really going on. Particularly let our people know that there are no two sides to the violence. If you are going that yom kwai niba at ba PF atawe na ba UPND na bobene bufi mwebo obumu teko ewa kwatabaka pokola nomba kuti mwaisa tuweba shana abalete chimfulungane ni ba UPND ni kuisoko ba UPND bengalete chimfulungane ya mchalo umwe abana bakapokola abale ikata ba UPND abale ikata balete chimfulungane imo abalete chimfulunganya nyaba mamirisha ababa lumendo abama mirisha aba ebalete chimfulunganya mchalo cheso kateka fuire aiminina ashipa no kubeba ababa lumendo kwebate not in my name no banning afye okubeba afye from today imirisha yakuchawa mana ichitaban ebukateka kaini numba kanshi general munja fuisheko ukuteka nishi manone
he has to fly in the new jets. He must fly to Kasama, to Chipata, to Mongu. When he comes back, he refuels back the bar in the plane and flies back again. That's it. According to him, that's governance. That's not the way ukuteka. Ukuteka means looking after your people. That's what I understand by leadership. Ukuteka means looking after your people and being fair to your people. But in this case, Wakateka, he has failed to take. He has failed to lead, completely failed.
I'm now going to bring our friends, our Bakwetu friends. For those that do send us stars, thank you. I keep sending them. So you just go to your profile and then you send stars. It's like every Facebook user has free stars, but for you to continue giving stars, apparently you must buy them from Facebook and then send them to TV Bakwetu. We are trying out all this monetization thing. And in fact, for the past few broadcasts, people have stopped pressing on the stars. We should stop.
People are praising us and condemning us. No, we want stars. Those of you who are praising us, thank you so much, but we need the stars. And those who are attacking us, for me, I'm being attacked. I will not respond. I only respond to those who are giving us good ideas. And there's somebody who says she wants to be my second wife. No, thank you so much. I can't do that. So please stop posting things like that. So let's go to our commentators.
General, I need to address that. Nibambuya wenu mwebo. Ebarando kuba tbafo kupwa kuli mwe. Muri chimbuya. Muletina muri chimbuya fyakosa.
If it's a Lozi, if it's a Kalubale, if it's a Lunda, it's a Pembunda, it's a Chokwe, they are allowed because they are my cousins. I will allow them. Okay? So no problem. But if you are not any of these people, don't propose to be my second wife. But if you are Lozi, Lunda, Kachokwe, Vale, everything fine. I'm happy with that. So let's go to.
So it's either you say no or you say yes to everybody. You can't say that no to everybody, no to Bembas, no to Ushis, Ushi, but yes to Mbundas, yes to Lubales, yes to Lozis, because they are your cousins.
Okay, let me say this. no to everybody, but to Roses and Mbunda, you can go to my village and ask my family. Go privately. Don't post it on Facebook. No. So let's go to Harry Chinokoro. What is that? There's Harry Chinokoro. I always want to go for the new people first. Harry, can you tell us what's happening? Who do you think is to blame for the violence? What do you think is happening with COVID? And what action should be taken? Harry, it's over to you. Be brief, sir. Be very, very brief.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. So, this violence has been happening. I mean, we know who causes the violence.
General, no, Harry is driving. General, we can't have Harry. Harry is driving.
No, if he's driving, it's against the law. We can't have you driving. It's either you park and talk to us.
Okay. Harry, sorry, I thought that you were driving.
Oh no, it's hands-free. It's hands-free. I'm driving, but the phone is hooked up to the car.
Well, we have to follow the law. We also want to save you. We don't want you to get involved in an accident. If you're going hands-free, that's fine. But please, we don't encourage people driving and speaking. Can you go ahead, sir?
Okay, so I was saying we all know where the violence comes from. We know who causes the violence every time. So why can someone like the head of state, why can't he come out one day just to say that I know who's causing this violence? So why can't he tell his cadres not to cause violence? Because it's up to him. It's like a father telling his children to say, stop this. Children will listen, they'll stop. I have kids as well. I tell my kids not to make noise. They don't. So why can't our president just one day swallow his pride, stand up and say, I don't want anyone to make noise from here? Why can't he do that? So why does he keep quiet and let his cadres cause noise? Yesterday, I was watching a video today. I'm in Minneapolis. I was watching a video today because I like to watch videos that are uploaded, There's this video where HH and his entourage, they were passing through, I think, town. They were attacked by PF cadres. The only thing the police did was they started to follow the UND procession and tear-gassing them. Why were they doing that? That is fair. That gets me up. Nobody by every day just because of that. Why should that happen? Why shouldn't people be equal? A level playing field. As it stands, there is no peace, but I think it's because of the fear that the people have. They've seen something. They know they might lose this thing. The peace is going. Trust me, because I've never seen people.
Thank you, Harry.
I've never seen people behaving. Okay.
The line is not very
Thank
good,
you.
Harry. I'm sorry about that. Thank you so much for your comment. Let's go to Junior. Junior, where are you? And can you tell us about the COVID situation, the violence, and what do you think should be done? Junior.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, I'm from Lusaka in Charleston.
Okay. What is happening?
I'm actually a student, and I've been observing the way the way cadres behave by the stations and other places. If I remember, there was this video circulating one time when one person, I think a policeman, tried to stop a person. I don't know what occurred. He tried to stop him. Then the man started capturing a video saying this man has said I think the man was transferred somewhere, if I'm not mistaken. So it means cadres have more power than the police. So and other cadres are in the police force. So they have the right. I don't know if they have the right to use guns and other things. So as a citizen, it scares me to know that even when I'm going to school, I can be hurt, like the way Frank Mugala was hurt. We haven't heard anything that happened, any court ruling about Frank Mugala and other people who were just hurt without the court being involved. So the president hasn't talked about such deaths. So
Okay.
the cadres are ruling us now. The cadres are the ones ruling us, not the president. The president is no longer ruling us. It's only the cadres. So if we want to tame if we want to tame the cadres, we just have to stand up and vote. Everyone on the 12th to stand up and rise against the cadres, because it's the cadres versus Zambia. If anyone is in Zambia, pass by Mutendere Market. I pass through that side every time when going home. Cadres are controlling the markets, and people are scared to speak out. They can't speak because the police is also controlled by the same cadres. So I think if we team up as Zambians to vote them out, the cadres will be tamed.
Right. Thank you very much, Junior. But we've got to go general. But we can always have a backside meeting beyond here with everybody that is present. If we can, General, what do you think?
Yeah, I was just trying to see whether we've got any new person, because I love to see the new people coming in so that we don't hear from the same voices every day. But we've got an elder still in the house. Mr. Ankwirimba, I'll give you a half a minute, sir. You are the elder in the house. What do you think is happening over COVID and the violence? And especially the banning of UPND and PA for 14 days in Lusaka?
Well, thank you for the honor. First of all, I think the COVID situation is actually real. The numbers, those statistics are not just manufactured statistics. I have relatives that have been, tested, and they have been found to be positive, and they're in hospital. Some of them are at home, and others are going to hospitals. So it's real. It's a bad situation. And something needs to be done about that. I think we need leadership, which is really lacking in this case. There's no leadership at all in as far as how to address the worsening situation. The violence, I think for the first time I would like to commend the police for what they did yesterday. The situation would have been worse. You was attacked 3 times. And the police did their part to actually repel the PF cadres that wanted to attack the entourage. I know they're in a difficult situation. You see, so their behavior sometimes is ambiguous. So it's like they are caught in between 2 situations. Please their bosses who want them to make sure that UPND is discouraging rallies. But at the same time, they want to actually ease the situation. And what they did yesterday was commendable. It much if the police did not stop the PF from what they wanted to do.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We really want to commend the police, Munshya, before I hand it over to you, for the action, because it could have been worse. We saw what happened. We saw the ambushes they were trying to do. But the police, you did a good job yesterday. We know that you want to do your job, but you are caught between the rock and I don't know what the term they use to say, the rock and the hard face. So you are there in between. We know you are committed, some of our professional policemen, but you are in a situation where if you do the right thing, you don't want to be like Sharper. So over to you, Munshya.
Thank you very much. For all those that have joined us today, please stay behind because we always have a chat behind the scenes. For now, we thank you very much for having joined us as TV Bakwetu. For those that are sending stars, please continue sending stars. One more issue that I couldn't just let pass, General, is the issue of the third party, the MMD, getting excited that the PF and the UPND have been banned. I find it to be disingenuous, first of all, and not only hypocritical, but it lacks truthfulness and honesty about the situation that is going on. The MMD is behaving and siding not with the people that are weak. It is the opposition that are weak. It is the opposition that is at the receiving end of the brutality of the Patriotic Front regime. I therefore find it strange that the MMD is actually celebrating that the UPND has been banned. I know where this kind of thinking or mentality is trying to get at, but it is one of the things that are making the MMD appear to be an organization that has no credibility.
Yeah.
It can't have credibility with this kind of behavior. The Patriotic Front runs militias, and yet the MMD is trying to paint as if the UPND runs the militias in the same way that the Patriotic Front runs the militia. This is unacceptable, particularly from a party that prides itself to be a Christian party and trying to govern or proposing to govern the country under Christian principles. We find it extremely offensive, personally, that the MMD would be celebrating this kind of banning. No. If we have to address the MMD issue another day, we are going to come back to it. Wasn't it the MMD that unleashed militias on people, on Michael Sata and these groups in 2011?
You want my comment? You want my comment, Musha?
No.
Dr. Nevas Mumba, if you think by banning UPND from campaigning that you win votes, you are wasting your time, Dr. Nevas Mumba. Complete wasting your time. You will not win this election. Even if UPND does not campaign between now and the 12th, you won't win the election. It's a sign of being a hypocrite, Mr. Dr. Mumba. Thank you.
All right. So I didn't want it to be as direct as you are, General. You know, I wanted to be a little bit diplomatic. and so it's not just true. The Patriotic Front are beating up people, shooting at people, and there is no way that anybody would be on the side of two sides. At Yom Kwai won't say they are the problem. No. One party is in government, the other one is not. One party has access to bombs, the other one doesn't. One party has access to jails and police, the other one doesn't. This is not of two people at Barei Ponona, two people in the ring Barei Ponona. This is not it. Anyway, we'll leave that to another day. Thank you very much for joining us today. Elias Munshya here with Mr. Munshya and Chipakupaku, also known as General. God bless you and God bless our country. We'll see.